Welcome, everyone, and here's another edition of things in our mind that we think are going to make us happy, and they end up not making us happy. I just made that up, but I think it doesn't matter where we are in our life, we always think that the other side or the other part of what we don't have is going to make us happy. We just think that because we lack it is the reason why we're not as happy. It doesn't matter what we have. Like, I think and it's still, you can tell yourself, even to like all these experiences that, oh yeah, I remember that one time when I thought this was going to make me happy and it didn't. And you would think that would help you to be aware of this phenomenon of whatever's trying to, to this idea that our happiness lies within getting something or having something. But it doesn't matter, because our minds are you think of years and years of evolution of trying to conquer, to trying to better ourselves, we were always, our brain has been created to excel and to try to get the next and the best. And so I think if naturally evolution wouldn't have happened if we would have just stopped at just like, we're okay the way we are. And so there's the good part in that, but I think you have to understand that it's like, I went across, not across the world, but I did this before when I went to Brazil, and I thought, like, oh, Brazil being a different culture, they speak Portuguese, and I love Brazil. I had a great time there, and I'd love to go back, but it was like, I didn't have my dog, no one spoke English. There were so many things that your mind doesn't create when you're thinking of like, I need to get out of the place I'm at now, and this other place is gonna make me happy. Because we get stuck in a place that we don't think is right for us, and all we think is this other place is going to be more magical. And it could be any place in the US. I went from all these different cities thinking that I was just in the wrong place, when in reality, I think it's like I can choose to decide where I'm at is fine, and I can live with whatever I have. And then I kept telling myself, like, only when I get to this other spot will I be happy. And I convinced myself I would freaking go across the world to find happiness. And our minds don't tell us the whole story. Our minds tell us only the things we want to hear. And it'll paint the picture of all these positives. Like, yeah, Costa Rica is a great country. They live for the day, pure vida, pure life, and everything is moment to moment, and living that lifestyle is so awesome. But then they don't tell you that if they close down stores and if you have to get a part, it's like, it can take days, sometimes weeks. To have a car is really hard. Even if you have a car, like, to get it fixed, it's really hard. The roads, there's potholes. There's a lot of other things that make it hard to live, and just not knowing the language. Like, not everyone speaks English, and sometimes that can be very difficult, and it can be isolating. So, and I had that happen in Brazil, and it was like, after a month, I'm like, I just wanted to speak my language with someone else. And I felt like even the people that knew English, it was very, very few and far between. And I kind of felt like, I just felt like everyone was like laughing at me, like, who's this gringo? And maybe they were, maybe they weren't, I don't know. But it was in my head, that's what I created, and that was the reality I lived in. And it was like, I just couldn't wait to get back home. And then when I get back home, I'm like, I'm so bored here, I want to get out of here. So it's like, no matter what, we keep trying to find these ways to create happiness. And I realized this happiness is not a state. You can't attain it. And I think why I watched the thing with Mike Tyson, and if you ever watched interviews with Mike Tyson now, how he's changed like dramatically in this, like he's calmer in a lot of sense, and he has a lot of looks back at a lot of things, and he's very like reflective. And he said like the struggle, when you look back at the struggle is really beautiful. He says it doesn't look like it when you're going through it, but he says when you look back at it, he says it's a beautiful thing. And he says that is like the happiness is, and it's very hard for me to understand, but now that I look back at all the hard things that I've been through, and I learned so much out of those things. Like the hardest things that I've gone through, I learned the most, and that you cannot learn those things without going through them. So in a sense, that going to places where it's uncomfortable in other countries, I think that serves its purpose in that it makes you out of your comfort zone. But then you also want to be able to have stability in your life. So, and that's another thing I wanted to talk about, was like you have stability, and then you have like, which is great in a way, like you need some sort of stability in your life. I think we all do. It's just, we need to wake up at a certain time. We need to have certain tasks. Like if you ever have anything, if you have any dream that you want to accomplish, you have to have some sort of stability. It's just not gonna, you can't get anything done unless you have that. But also, if you have too much stability, it becomes monotonous, and then you start to resent whatever it is you're doing, and you start to lose. Like imagine a painter, and a painter loves to paint, and he's super creative, just any artist, and you make them do that all day, every day, from a certain time to a certain time, and you don't give them anything else to do, they will go crazy, and they will end up resenting their art, and they will end up ruining their creative abilities, because it's become almost like a chore to them instead of being something that you flow with. So I think that having that stability in your life, but also having these uncomfortable places that you go to, or changing it up. Like if you work out and you go to the gym every single day, like this has happened to me a lot, and I work out and I would go at a certain time every day, and it would just be like, yeah, I would get in really good shape, and I'd get a six-pack, and it was like, at that point I didn't care, because it was so boring for me, because I was like, I've been doing the same workout routine for years and years and years. Like I can't do this anymore. It's just so boring. But in a sense, I would have never gotten a six-pack if I had some stability in my life. If I was just eating hamburgers one day and then I was eating french fries the next, like you have to have that stability of not eating fast food and that routine in order to get that thing. So I think we have to have a good balance in our life, and I don't think it's in a term of like we need to go out and party and have fun, but we need that balance. Like if, let's say you want to own a business, and it's like you focus on your business 24/7, but maybe you do something that is different in your business. Maybe you have to, instead of working on this certain aspect of your business, let's say like, you do the sales or whatever, like maybe just try something else within the business, just like a couple days, just to get you out of the funk. Because I think that our minds become, it's like driving. It's like when we drive the same route every day, sometimes if you ever done this, like you end up at like the location and you're like, how did I get here? You're like, I have no idea how I even gotten here. This is so, and it's like kind of creepy because your mind just goes on autopilot. And I think that we do this in our lives a lot. And it's like, we ruin the, like, not that we need that with driving, like it's a good thing because we don't want to crash, and our minds are, we know the road so well that we can kind of just tune out. But if we tune out for everything, then how can we be creative? How do we create different, whatever it is that we're trying to do in our life? How do we create that how do we become like anything that is been created in life. I mean, you think of businesses or art or whatever, like songs, like they had to be out of their comfort zone in some way, because like and I noticed this just with like writing myself, is if I'm put in a new spot, I come up with new ideas just because I'm put into a new element and a new area. But the moment that I'm stuck in the same area for too long, I like get stuck, and my mind just kind of like stops working. And I think it just kind of does that because it becomes routine, and then routinely it doesn't need to do anything anymore. And so part of it is putting challenges in our life, and I think that uncomfortableness creates creativity. It allows us to be uncomfortable. It allows us to grow. It allows us to be in new places, to see different elements in our life, and we can like be more reflective of our life and see areas of our life that were not noticeable. Like, and I've noticed that for myself, is that when I've gone to other countries and I can see areas in my life like, oh wow, like I've been lacking in this and I've been lacking in this, and I haven't been doing these things, and they could be so simple, but because we've been doing them so monotonously, so repetitively, that we don't see it. So I think my point is that I wanted to make is that, one, is the grass is never greener on the other side, no matter what anyone says. And I know that, like, for a lot of us, we think that once we get these things in our life, like, we will be happy. But it's not the state, it's not the place, it's not the things that make us happiness. It's the journey, it's the person you become on the way of getting those things or getting to that place. Because I think that person that you have to forge yourself into is a person that you can look at and be proud of. And I think happiness is not a word that I don't know why it's like something that is what we need to obtain. I think we should look at it as more of living a life that we're proud of, and thinking that we live a life that we've given to people, we've given back to the world in some sort of way. And I think that is the purpose of every human, is to give back some form way. And we need people in all different elements to give back in some sort of way. But the hardest part is each person has to find that element, and no one can find that for you. So the grass is never greener. We're never going to be happy when we get to those places. We get happy, I think, joy, which is a relative term, and I think it's not a constant thing, but I think it's like that's not the thing we're trying to obtain. That's not the state we're trying to obtain. I think being proud of the life that you are living, or just being proud of the person that you are becoming, because you don't even have to be that person yet. You can just be becoming that person. And for all of us, we're all in different stages in our life. And for some people, like, that could be someone who's living on the street who is a heroin user, and for them to get off heroin and get clean and to just work at a normal job is amazing. And I think that's like incredible. And I know how hard it is to come off this shit. Like, and I think that they're not getting enough praise, and because they might be comparing themselves to someone who's started Uber or something. And I just want to say that that is a challenge in itself. So for them, just getting a job, getting clean, living a life that's purposeful, that should be something they're proud of. And for another person, maybe they just always wanted to make money off their art, and they just were too scared because they had a cushy job and they had the nice car, and they didn't want to get rid of those things. And maybe they said, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna live that life, and I'm gonna make it work no matter what, because I believe in my art and I believe in it no matter what no one says. And they do it, and they figure it out, and maybe they fail along the way, maybe they have to lose the car, maybe they have to downsize the house, but you know what, they did it. And for that, I think they should be proud of. I don't think someone we're meant to constantly grow. I think that's the whole point. So it doesn't matter. And in some of us, it's just small, and it could be small steps. For young guys and young girls, like maybe it's just like not partying on the weekends, or maybe not going out every night. I mean, doing that for like months on end, like that can make a huge difference in your life. And so I think it depends on what stage we're at and how we can, and don't listen to anyone else comparing what they think that you should be, because you are the only one that can compare back to what the old you was. And I think that is a huge thing in feeling proud is better than feeling happy, because joy and happy, like you can be go on a roller coaster ride, and that but that roller coaster ride will end, but you can always be proud of the person that you've become. And a lot of the times too is the way you treat people, you can't take that away. So just some of the things that I've learned along the way is that no matter what, where you go, you're always going to have this. It's never gonna make you happy. 2, we need some sort of comfort, but we also need some sort of uncomfortableness to keep our creativity juices flowing, whatever that is. And I think that balance is how you need to find it. And 3 is that we should be living a life that we're proud of and growing, not just looking for or striving for happiness. So I think I just wanted to say that, because I think I thought that I was going to be happy here, when really I was just running away from grief, and I was running away from my problems, and coming just to another country I thought would be a way to make me happy. And obviously it was horrible. It wasn't a bad idea, I mean, but it just, to think that that's gonna make me happy is not. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Hit subscribe. See you guys later.